Here on the channel, I don't really give ratings or really any official review of any album. If I'm reacting to an album, I'll tell you my closing thoughts on it. But as far as really amending that with any type of written opinion, right? That's not just kind of what we do here. You know, I think I like some albums more than others, but it's kind of just okay, did I like this or did I not like this? And I think that's a fair way of doing things. But some people really love rating under a certain criteria, whether it's 5 stars, 10 stars, whatever it is, and then leaving swaths of opinion-laden copy on albums as a way to either critique and engage in discourse or to let people know that they have the only one true God speaking through them in what is good or bad. And I think we all have a pretty good idea of what makes a good album. We know classic albums, right, stick around because they're fantastic, but you can't make everybody happy. So today, we are going to read bad reviews for good albums, great albums even. So right here, probably about a year before I started my channel, I found out what Rate Your Music was. And that's where all the nerds go and tell you why Food is a 5-star, quote, hip-hop masterpiece, right? That's what it says right here. That's what they said. And you know what? That's a pretty good album. Yeah, you know? FKA Twig's new album, pretty good, just not that good. You know what I mean? So let's dive into this. And I think the only place to start is with the album, right? What a lot of people call the album. It's one of my favorites, probably my all-time favorite. Let's see Dark Side of the Moon. Now, I can almost guarantee you, Dark Side of the Spoon. I put Dark Side of the Spoon. It is not Spoon. It is not Poon. Dark Side of the Moon by Lil Wayne. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, here it is, right? Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd, 1973. The most iconic fucking thing ever made. It's not letting me get in. How does this work? What the fuck? Maybe they know. Maybe they're crashing the website because they know about the dog. Dog on everybody. This is literally not responding at all. All right, well, Rate Your Music fucking sucks and or Cloudflare's having an issue. So let's look it up on Album of the Year, right? We didn't like Rate Your Music anyway. Dark Side of the Moon, right? Cool. Actually, one thing I kind of like about Album of the Year, you could just go by this, which is their must-hear album kind of tag. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know what kind of editorial process it goes through to achieve that, but here you can see, right, this is one of the most well-received albums of all time. It was on the Billboard charts for 14 years or however long. Critic score, 97 out of 100. User score, 91, right? AllMusic gives it 100, but I'm not here to read those. I'm here to read the lowest rated. Popular user reviews. I think that's what we're after more than anything here. All right, so maybe we're onto something here. So the top worst review for this says, just listen to it instead of reading bad reviews and getting mad. Hey now, do not ruin my good time. Guys, they figured us out. I'm telling you, they are fucking onto us. People will look at you dead in the eyes and say this shit is peak. I mean, it is pretty peak. I mean, I love listening to this album, but I know why people don't like, Pink Floyd. It's all, we live in a society, 18-minute guitar solo, whatever it is. This album's gay. It does give kind of gay with the rainbows, but now even that's the outdated pride flag. So it doesn't. Mid Floyd. Also, as user Fearflower says, this does not bump in the whip. I don't know this expression, but I am certain it is a truly amazing criticism of this musical compilation. All right, so some people are in on the joke. Boring. I stopped listening after 20 minutes and started watching Minecraft Speedrunners versus 500's rematch. He did this really cool boat clutch, and I, no joke, gasped. It was awesome. I love Dream. All right. So this one's a 3 out of 100. Everything about this album hurts me. I've written and rewritten this review many times in a vain attempt to accurately portray my contempt for this album, and nothing has come close. I have nothing. Oh my God. Holy fuck. This was so boring. I appreciate that it had a huge impact on the industry, and for the time, it was very out of the box and creative. It definitely gets some respect for that. 11 points of respect. 11 respect points to Pink Floyd. But it doesn't change the fact that there are so many much better, more interesting albums these days that do the same or similar vibe to this, just with actually enjoyable songs that don't make sense, so restless and bored that I start counting the seconds until each song is over. See, now this one's like a little bit more believable. Each song feels so empty and lackluster. Okay, but like, I just say that it's believable. Have you heard Great Gig in the Sky? I don't know how you get through that song and feel empty. There are even albums that are similar ages to this one that do experimental and creative things in a better way than this one. That's something to talk about, right? The other kind of experimental, proggy kind of band. King Crimson was doing shit at a very high level, just about the same time, or even a little bit before. I forget when Robert Fripp really started getting shit together. I think it was in the late 60s. So I don't really understand all the love that people give to this, but again, I do understand and respect the impact it had for the time. Imagine saying this is the worst thing ever and saying, gotta respect it though. I have to respect this. All right, now this one's good. 20 out of 100. This album is on vinyl. You can get it on vinyl. All right, 30 out of 100. Just because pretentious music people say it's good doesn't mean it is. God bless. I mean, there's something to say about that, right? I think that's partially the reason why I don't really explore these forums too much. You know, I don't need some dipshit telling me what's good and what's bad.
Hey, how's it going? Editing Bees here. Just wanted to pop in real quick and ask you to not think about the irony of me telling you that you don't need a dipshit telling you what's good or what's bad, and instead, let's just focus on the facts. And when I want to focus on the facts, I use Ground News. Ground News helps me sift through the noise of partisan nonsense by combining news from around the world in one place so you can compare the political biases therein for yourself. For every news source, you can see if they have a political bias, how reliable their reporting is, and perhaps most importantly, who owns them. Their blind spot feature is probably my favorite aspect of Ground News, as it highlights news that may be disproportionately covered by just one side of the political spectrum. I find that Ground News is the perfect tool to get you thinking freely about the news coverage that inundates our timelines and really our daily lives. Click the link in my description to get 40% off the Vantage subscription to Ground News, which unlocks unlimited article access, ownership data, and factuality ratings. Remember, your subscription not only helps my channel, but it also supports Ground News as they make the media landscape more transparent and keep you more well-informed. Again, click the link in my description to get 40% off the Vantage subscription for Ground News. Now, back to the video.
So Get Rich or Die Trying. I'm picking this one. Obviously not maybe as critically renowned as Dark Side of the Moon. Very different vibe here. But was a seminal album for me. I think it stands as a classic. 74 and 77 out of 100 aren't terrible scores. But for me getting into hip hop, it was like this album was everything to me. So let's look at some of the user reviews for Get Rich or Die Trying. This one says, I fucking hate you. Most overrated album of all time, in my opinion. See, a lot of people would say that about Dark Side of the Moon. See, 50 Cent and Roger Water have something in common. This one starts off like a rocket. 15 out of 100. Damn, this album sucks. The boring, repetitive album produced by Dr. Dre and Eminem started an industry plant such as 50 Cent. The production here is pretty outdated. There are some bangers on these albums, but they sound so stiff and outdated, and a lot of rap albums from that time still can be entertaining to this day. 50 Cent has no personality here. That's fucked up. That's like, okay, no personality here. I mean, Curtis Jackson oozes personality. Kind of cringe that, he doesn't want to give 2% of his millions of dollars away to New York City. Mixing also sounds like he was recording this album from fucking toilet while using toilet paper to write his verses. Another problem with this album is the fact of how boring the album can be. 19 lackluster tracks with cheap, horribly aged production fronted by one of the most unlikable mainstream MCs that come to mind. I don't know, like, is 50 Cent that unpopular and unlikable? I've always found him to be very, very likable.
What do you say fuck me for?
Right? Okay. You can't start your review out with sigh. You can't do that. I don't necessarily think that, there's great poetry on Get Rich or Die Trying, but not only is it like such a time capsule for its time, but, I don't think you could have done this with any other rapper but 50 Cent. It had to be a dude who's been shot 9 times, who would inevitably have one of the best beefs with Floyd Money Mayweather that this world has ever seen. Rumors is, of course, a must-hear album. Holy fuck. This album has 100 out of 100 from the critic scores, 87 from the peoples. I love Rumors. I've heard it way too many fucking times. I was listening to older music in, like, grade school. Everybody made fun of me for it. And then TikTok became a thing, and then, you know, the TikTok of the dude longboarding and drinking cranberry juice and that whole fucking thing, and American Horror Story Coven kind of brought Fleetwood Mac back into the consciousness and had some of the most annoying people you've ever met be really into them, and particularly this album. But there's a reason. This album is fantastic. It is such a good album. This person here says, God, I fucking hate Fleetwood Mac. I knew I did. I forced myself to listen to this bullshit just so I could hate more accurately. Fuck you, Fleetwood Mac. Go fuck yourselves. Nerd emoji overrated. Thumbs down emoji. I can't lie that The Chain is a banger though. Hey, game recognized game. Let's call it for what it is. I don't even think The Chain's the best song on this album, but it is a banger. Well, it's definitely not for me. I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't really have much to say about it. It's uninteresting. I don't recommend this unless you are a rom-com lover, I guess. Well, that's definitely something there. I think there's maybe people who really love rom-coms, or you could probably get down with a lot of the lore of this album, which was, hey, we're all sleeping together, we all hate each other, let's cook and make one of the greatest albums ever made. Okay, wow, this album kind of blows, but The Chain is one of the best songs ever made. I guess nobody hates The Chain, that's fine. Wait, this is so everybody hates this album except The Chain. So it turns out The Chain is actually kind of slaps. Maybe I should change this rating sometimes. I have no idea what people see in this album. This is arguably the best album by the best band. It's the fucking Beatles. You either know this album or you don't. I don't really have a favorite Beatles album. It's really hard to choose. I hate to say it. I'm a huge Beatles fan. If you're talking about greatest, the Beatles are to music what being crossfaded is to life, right? Drink a little bit, smoke a little bit, it's the best. That's what the Beatles are to me. Fuck this album. White Men Being White, can't argue with that one. That one's actually, they did clock that. AI Slop Cardi did better. Just know I'm going to get flamed for this. The Beatles are the most overrated band of all time. I will be honest with you, for as big of a Beatles fan as I am, a lot of the early shit just does not stand out and, it doesn't age very well. It's very much like a relic of its time, but that's what was in, right? It was just these, just simple kind of classic rock kind of shit, but not even like classic rock. This isn't fucking Steve Miller Band classic rock. This is like Chuck Berry playing 12-bar blues type of shit. But by the time, 4 years into their shit, you get fucking Revolver and everything kind of changes. And by the time you get to Abbey Road, they're literally making things that nobody else has ever heard of before. Or at least kind of putting it together in an album in a way that nobody else had before. When it came to recording, nobody else was better. No, they're at the time, there just was nobody that was doing it like them. They will never make me like you. Boy, slow down dropping all that BS music. I think, it's telling of an honest person when they say, I don't like them, but I understand that, without them, we wouldn't have 80% of the shit that we have now and how we interact with pop music the way that we do. I just don't like them. That's fine. And I think that that's an honest criticism, but it's harder for me as somebody who realizes that and also just fucking loves them. It could be like one of those things. It's like, oh, my favorite band's the Beatles, and my favorite baseball team's the Yankees. My favorite movie's Avengers Endgame. My favorite video game is Minecraft. My favorite YouTuber's Mr. Beast. Right? It is very bleh. It's like, good job, buddy. Nice personality. All right, so somebody made this joke earlier in chat. So instead of Non-Virgin reacting to OK Computer by Radiohead, we have Non-Virgin reacting to possible virgins reviewing OK Computer by Radiohead. I still love you guys, by the way. The most overrated indie band. I hate Radiohead. Shite. I hate music. Tom York killed my family. I hope that Tom York gets hit by a bus. TS so bad, I couldn't even make it past the first 3 tracks. Okay, but the first 3 tracks are the best fucking, some of the best 3-track openers of all time. The first 3 tracks, some of the biggest reasons as to why I love OK Computer so much. I think it's some of the best, it's like the best 3-track opener of all time. The most glazed album of all time. Paranoid Android is the only good song on the album, and I guess Karma Police is decent. But other than that, the rest of the songs are a snooze. It's rock with no real riffs and overall unenthusiastic. There aren't any real riffs, but they're not like a real rock band in the traditional sense. a lot of that album is based in rock and roll, but they take it up to a level that not a lot of other bands can take it, while still having it be pretty accessible. I think Letdown's really overrated on that album. Letdown's a pretty good song. I remember when I reacted to it, we were like, how could you not like Letdown so much? Like, it's okay. I just don't like this album. I can't really point out why. I just didn't enjoy it. You know what? Fair. Fair as fuck. Fair as fuck.
Man, fuck this album. Always a letdown. No everything in its right place. Computer bad. Like computer advancement is bad. Don't care. You look British. Middle finger.
Sigma Goy gives OK Computer a 40 out of 100. Really seems like liking this is an NPC take. I don't fuck with sad emo music. Gets good at times though. So it's bad because liking it would be an NPC move. Guys, like if you like an album, it's okay to like it. It really is just fine to like shit. Nas Illmatic, we listened to this. I'm not the biggest hip hop guy, but I genuinely enjoyed a lot of this. I thought the stories and themes that Nas was weaving in and out of some of these songs, and how you could really see these very vibrant kind of sections where he's dealing with different things and different ideas depending on which 3-song run you're listening to. It's an older hip hop album. I guess I didn't really expect it to really land as much of an album as it was. You know, it just wasn't like a collection of songs. But it was really like a stamp. It was a story. He really had shit to say with this. So it is rated on it is apparently the 9th best album of all time, according to Album of the Year here. Mumble rap. Is that a picture of, yeah, that's a picture of, what is this African American doing? Does he perchance think he is an artist? Well, he isn't, because music isn't art. Coming from Music Hater 9. Let's go. He really thought he did something with this. You know what? He did. Nas did something. Newsflash, it feels good to smoke weed. You may never have heard this phenomenon before, but Nas is here to tell you about it. I can say without exaggeration that the top priority of this album isn't to preach about the horrors of the inner city. It's to preach about how good it feels to smoke weed. I mean, he does write a lot about weed. Nas writes and raps like he just discovered weed last week and has a spiritual need to tell everybody how cool it is. Okay, he's not wrong. I just don't see that as a reason to like not like it. Dude evangelizes harder than a Jesuit priest, as though it's some profound piece of esoteric lore. Yeah, dude, you and every other edgy teen girl in the country likes weed. I'm sure you really ticked off your parents with this one, tough guy. Way to rebel against society. Quote, this goes to everybody living in real life. Bro, you're sedating yourself because you're afraid of the world around you. You said as much in your mission statement on track 3. I'm here for the nihilism. I'm all for talk about life on the streets, but rapping about life in a Midwest high school bathroom. Get some fucking focus. This shit is supposed to be a classic. These beats are wasted on Nas. Usually I can see why people like these all-time great albums, but with this, I have no idea why people think this is good music. It's terribly mediocre. I don't know. Coming from somebody who doesn't listen to a lot of hip-hop, I thought that album was really, really good. And only marginally better than Wu-Tang Clan Enter the Wu-Tang, which comes in at number 15 all-time on Album of the Year here. I will say, I liked this album. I do think that you really need a sense of humor going into this album, which, given people who might like to do ratings on these forums, that might not be the case. But even so, it was, at least to me, again, not being a hip-hop guy, but I can only imagine at the time, here's this huge collective, and they're all kind of trying to outdo one another, and they're all samurais, and that's fucking crazy, and the production, and man. But I could see, the old dirty bastard sections might be a little bit much for you. They might be a little bit much. Iconic for sure. One of the greatest ever. Don't know. Maybe would have to listen to some of the other albums on this list. What the fuck is this group doing? They come. Okay, so this is Music Hater 9. Hold on. What is? I gotta figure this guy out. I gotta figure out Music Hater 9 here real quick. Okay, so this is a troll account. This is a troll account. He gave 100 to 2. Oh, K-pop Demon Hunters and White Noise 5.5. See, this is a guy who's doing it the right way. This guy sees past the veil. Horrible rapping and production all around. This album is so good, 10 out of 10. Gave it 10 out of 100. I don't vibe with this. So I'm going to explain myself. If I was around when this album dropped, I'd love it. I still love the album. I can see why people would enjoy this, but it's so fucking boring. It is a little long. It's dated as hell, and the rapping just sounds so corny, held up to today's standards. I know this album is loved, and yeah, I'm not trying to take that away from it. It's innovative, and these guys are all talented. In fact, Ghost and ODB are fantastic rappers. However, it's just old. Don't be old. That's Lizard Guy hates you being old. Yeah, I will say, like, the lower bits that I didn't appreciate as much on Enter the Wu-Tang weren't as good as the lower bits that I didn't enjoy as much on Illmatic. So I would say Illmatic is probably a better album overall. Enter the Wu-Tang, I think, is just overall just a little bit less successful because of just how violent and absurd a lot of it is. I still kind of liked it. I really do appreciate it for, being what it is. These guys are like magicians. Every woman you know that smokes cigarettes loves this album. I liked this album a lot. It didn't crack my top 10. So I did a video about the top 10 albums that I had reacted to here on the channel. They were really just my favorite. I was considering it, but I haven't gone back to this album as much as I have those other albums. And I think that was part of the reason why I'd kind of placed them where I did as far as my favorite albums that we've reacted to. I think it's objectively one of the best. His songwriting, his voice, his band is terrific. But I do have to say, I think the legend of Jeff Buckley, the fact that he was gone well before his time, does add to the legend. I think it does add to the reverence that this album gets. But for what's there, it is still exceptional. First one, dude. Re-review. This fucking sucks. I fucking hate Jeff Buckley. His guitar playing stinks. Expected a lot of nothing, overrated as hell. Didn't enjoy the vocals. The whole sound, not even the vibe. Huge letdown, all caps. Taking it from the school of Trump there and getting your point across online. Overrated AF, and his voice started to PMO so much just after 2 songs. The instrumentals were so fucking boring. Rolling Stone was much too lenient. So we don't have any 30 out of 100, so it goes up to 40 here. Grace gets a 40 out of 100 from Spencer 2009. Hot take, I think the first half of this album isn't that good. Note, none of it's good. It's all mediocre. I don't see what annoying white couples see on TikTok in this album. See, this one's funny. Grace by Jeff Buckley. What a disgrace. Ladies and gentlemen, comedy. It is comedy night here on YouTube. So let's get into some more divisive stuff. So let's say, for example, big names, very divisive, Taylor Swift, right? Folklore. Take it or leave it on any other day, all else being equal, Folklore is probably the biggest pop star on the planet's best album. Cover to cover, pound for pound, it's probably this one. And people seem to agree, 87 is nothing to turn a blind eye to. 82, I'd say this is high 80s, even low 90s. So the Taylor Swift journey as an outsider, but by the time Folklore came around, not only was I really appreciating a lot of what Taylor Swift had to offer and finding some pretty fun tracks, but the songwriting, the atmosphere, the production, everything worked for Taylor Swift. I feel like everything in her career was working up to Folklore and Evermore. Let's get some maybe let's get some 50s and 40s here. Okay, so here's one coming in at 36 out of 100. I've given a chance to Taylor Swift music and started with this album because I heard it's her best work, and it's pretty much mid. I respect her, not as a musician, but as a marketer. Her works are not as good as the cells are. She just convinces people that her songs are good, and they believe her. It's basic pop, not bad, not good. I will say I think maybe more attention should be paid to, when talking about the pros of Taylor Swift, that the business acumen, I think, deserves way more weight in a conversation with Taylor Swift than it usually gets. But this album was one where I really felt the true artist was coming through. She wasn't trying to sell a product for a label, as like this squeaky clean country pop star. This was really like, if all else being mine, this is what I'm gonna do. And in that sense, just, became just a very authentic project. Here we have some verified reviews. I was way too fucking nice to this album when it came out. Taylor Swift is by far my least favorite pop artist of all time, and she literally hops on any trend in the pop world and waters it down to its most boring and mainstream qualities, while pretending now to be an indie folk artist. Please fuck off. Kanye taking the mic was the best thing he has ever done. Not when that happened. She was still just having fun at that point. No, she didn't deserve that shit. I don't even know if she deserved that shit now, but definitely not back then. Honk shoe, me. Except this is me trying bangs low key, and I mean low key. Well, we got something there. Taylor Swift, it still isn't my favorite shit in the world. Respect it and appreciate and even really like a lot of her songs now than I would have otherwise. But when you're talking about, just like albums and like her effort as an artist, I think it's this one. You know what I mean? Let's do Brat, though. Let's do Brat, because there's unfortunately seemingly a big rivalry between the two. Brat was definitely one of my favorite albums of 2024. Absolutely love this album. It is the gift that keeps on fucking giving. Wow, there's a lot of, people really didn't like this album. Cringe, beyond boring, ass pop, incohesive, clunky, and forgettable, pretentious, or bad meme. I won't listen. I fucking hate the stinky album. The shitty stinky album. Overrated. Everybody dick eating this album. Oh, okay. So we got a 1 out of 100 with the Taylor Swift profile picture, and it says disgusting album. Holy shit, there's so much hate for this album. Oh my God. Couldn't get through it. That really? It's like a half hour long. 18 out of 100. British. Okay. No one normal actually likes, by the way, if you play this at a party, you are a gay nerd, put Travis Scott on instead. I could have given it a 30, but even the cover is horrible. Fucking sucks. Go listen to 100 Gex. Hey, I mean, there were some hyperpop stylings on Brat that reminded me of 100 Gex. That was kind of my foray into hyperpop. It is way more fun and juvenile than Brat, but I think what the good thing that Brat brought to the table, where it seemed like there was another layer of thought behind everything, that I thought it wasn't just very surface level. There was so much emotion that came out of literally everything, coupled with the fact that you could still dance your ass off to it. All downhill once I heard her British voice. Genuinely bad. Edits 35 to 28. System of a Down, all right, was the album that kind of brought me into being a little bit more open to nu metal. Definitely scared me for the longest time. Didn't know how anybody could listen to this, but like I said, once my frontal lobe kind of developed, I kind of saw it for what it was, which is just utter genius. Oh, Shadow the Hedgehog really likes this album. Check that out. That's him. That's Sonic the Hedgehog right there. All right, so with the Travis Scott profile picture, straight ass, how do y'all enjoy TS? Why did I put myself through this? Never listening to metal again. One of the worst listening experiences I've had in the last 4 years. Thank you, Tony. This would melt a Victorian child. I am a Victorian child. Well, at least they're being honest with themselves. All right, so let's get some fair to middling reviews. Majority of the tracks were boring except for a few. Might give it another chance. We'll say, I mean, this album is... all of it's pretty goddamn good, but the good songs really do stand out on their own. I will say that is a fair criticism of this album. Aerials, Chop Suey, Toxicity, all of those stand out so much from anything else that's on the album. You may just really have to like, that kind of thrashier sound. I'll re-listen eventually, but for now, I can only see it as boring as fuck. Just never really been a metal fan. There's interesting stuff, but aside from a few songs, none of it clicks with me. Oh, come on. I'm only here for Psycho and Aerials only. Chop Suey is very well known. Okay. With this guy shut up already. Bounce and Prison Song kind of fucked, though. Prison Song's really good. Yeah, I'm running out of space on my computer to record this, so if you want me to do this again, let me know.
Diggity dog. Diggity dog. diggity, diggity dog. Breaking, diggity, diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity, diggity dog.